what is up? We are back with a new video, and I have the TL-1 LPC, the offspring tank, in my garage. It's kitted out with a style that has speakers, electric guitars, a drum kit, some skateboards around the tank. It's kind of cool looking, but I prefer it without this style, so I put on the TwitchCon, the Twitch Prime skin, and it is a copy-paste tank. Of course, it looks exactly like the T95E2. I haven't played this tank yet, but I will play a few games for you. The only difference is it's a lot better than the T95E2, and it does not have the the tumor here on the turret. So like the T95E2 is like really easy to pen this. It's so huge. It's a real Achilles heel. The LPC has a small turret, a small cupola, sorry, and it makes this a lot better. So let's jump into a game. Alright, I've got 2 replays for you and a whole bunch of information, but first please subscribe if you're here for the first time. If you're new, turn on your notifications, especially if you're here for the mod pack videos that I will update periodically. The next mod pack update will be on scheduled for Tuesday or Wednesday. That's when the new 1.61 version will drop, so I hope that you will be ready for that mod. Anyway, here we are in Murvanka. We are spawned on the north. Let's get straight to it. Let's get right to it. The first thing you want to ask is this tank worth it? Do you want this tank? The answer is yes. I rank this tank, the LPC, right up there with right among the top 3 medium tanks in tier 8, aside from the Progetto and the T44-100. This is going to be an amazing tank. Is it OP? In the right hands, yes, it's going to be an OP tank. In the right hands, I'm not going to lie. If it's not going to be OP, the streamers, the community contributors, they won't be buzzing about this right now if it wasn't any good. Oh, I made a little bit of mistake there. My first mistake of the game, climbing up too high. Now, who is this tank going to be good for? Well, it's going to be good for people who understand how to use 10 degrees of gun depression. You understand how to use the hull down mechanics. Those are the people that's going to enjoy this tank. So I'm going to get it right out of the way. This is going to be an important tank to have and to own if you like that kind of hull down gun depression kind of playstyle. Right now I'm helping out this IS-3A because this defender has pushed too far. He's gone over the edge, he's pushed himself too far, his team didn't join him, so I've got to support my teammate and try to finish him off. This is the LPC on the enemy team with the offspring skin. Now he's made the mistake of pushing it on his own. His teammates have left him out to dry, but that's what this tank is about, man. Hull down, 10 degrees of gun depression, use it. This tank, of course, it looks like a pattern. It looks like a chieftain. What is it? Well, it's probably a one of those nights when the M48 pattern and the chieftain got drunk and hooked up and decide to make babies or something. They weren't successful. That's why they got the T95E2, the adopted version of this tank, the adopted brother of this tank, T95E2. They offered it up in the recommend a friend program. They gave that tank out for free if you grinded for it in the first iteration of invite friend program, and you got that T95E2. But now this tank is out. This tank is the legitimate child of the M48 pattern and the T95 Chieftain. And Look at it go. Amazing. This is an amazing tank if you're hull down. If you're using the 10 degrees of gun depression, this game is an easy 15-0, and this was my second game. Actually, my first game was a loss, but I've played 6 games since, and I've won all 5 after my first loss. So let's talk a little bit about this tank, why you want this tank, why a lot of people will want this tank. Apart from its standard penetration, which is like 208 penetration, somewhat higher than regular tier 8 medium tanks, which is hovering around the 190 penetration. 208 is not bad for standard shell penetration, but this tank is not about standard shell penetration. It is about the premium shell. Premium shell is heat, and believe it or not, the heat penetration is 280 penetration. And not just 280 penetration, also 1200 meters per second, what do you call that, shell velocity. That's amazing shell velocity for heat shells with 280 pen, and on top of that 280 damage per shot. So that's what's amazing about this gun. It does 280 damage, which is very good for a tier 8 medium tank. 280 damage. Now on this map, Studentsky spawn on the eastern side. I'm going to the north. Why? Because there are no light tanks, and number 2, there's no artillery. So this is the perfect position for me. I can use my hull down, I can use 10 degrees of gun depression. Now, even when I was in the lobby and loading into this game, I already knew we were going to dominate and we were going to win this game. Why? Because I know that we are going to be able to make use of this position very well. Now, I'm firing AP shells here. I always start off with AP shells, especially if we are in same tiered matchmaking. But you're going to see me give up very quickly on AP shells right after I bounce that shot. Immediately switch to the 280 pen, 280 damage heat shells. The only downside about this tank is that the reload time is pretty slow, 8.44 seconds. Even if you're running food and all that good shit, you're still gonna be down in the 7.5 second range. That's the maximum you can go. Now, the other major downside of this tank, a lot of people have not noticed yet, is yes, it is a medium tank, it is a premium tank. You can run your medium tank cruise in this tank, which means you can run your T20 cruise, you can run your Pershing cruise, you can run your pattern cruise in this tank. But one thing that's being overlooked by a lot of people is the commander of this tank is actually the one with the situational awareness perk. So that's a big problem. Situational awareness skill is very important because you want view range. This tank is stock view range 400 meters. You need situational awareness, you need recon, you need optics to help out this tank. But unfortunately, your T20, Pershing and pattern commanders do not carry situational awareness. In fact, all those tanks have the situational awareness in the loader. So that is the big boo-boo that Wargaming has committed in this tank. The only 2 tanks that are, which is a direct fit for this tank, the LPC, is actually the T69 Tier 8 autoloader and the Tier 9 T54 E1 autoloader. Those are the only 2 sets of crews that will actually fit perfectly into this tank, because those commanders have the situational awareness skill as one of their trainable skills. If you're running a pattern crew, if you're running a T20 crew or a Pershing crew, you're not going to have situational awareness in your commanders. Situational, you're gonna have to either spend gold to retrain your commanders, or there's no other way to do it. That's the only downside I can see on this tank. So if you're buying this tank and thinking it's going to be a great crew trainer, I beg to differ. It's only limited to a great crew trainer if you are running a T69 or a T54E1. But like I said, if you have the goal to spend, that's great. But if you want to be a crew trainer, I suggest you just, you know, grind credits on your Scorpion G, on your Defender, on your Progetto, on your Lorraine. Grind your credits on those tanks and use the credits to buy crew books to train your crew. That is the best answer I can give you. This tank is not a crew trainer. For another reason is because the speciality of this tank is the heat shells. It is the premium shells that make this tank special. 280 pen is extremely high for a tier 8 premium tank. In fact, it is very competitive even in tier 9 and tier 10 matchmaking. So I'll be honest with you, you want to be running your premium shells a lot in this tank, because that is what makes this tank what it is. It makes this tank special is the 280 penetration and 280 damage per shot. So is it going to be a credit earner? Well, if you want it to be, you can, but that is not what this tank is about. This tank is going to be the stat padder's greatest hits. All the guys, all the super unicums, all the good players that are good at this game, they are going to want this tank. They are going to play this tank a lot. They are going to grind the F out of this, grind the frick out of this tank. And the expectation values for the marks of excellence, if you're interested in that, it's going to skyrocket once all the good players get their hands on this tank, because this tank is really good in the hands of the good players. In the hands of inexperienced players, it's just going to be a normal, it's going to be a good tank. Make no mistake, it's going to be a good tank in the hands of inexperienced normal players, regular players, quote unquote. But it is going to be an amazing freaking tank on with the experienced players that have high skill caps. They are going to have a blast in this tank. I'm not even joking, not going to even joke about it, because you're going to see a lot of these streamers and YouTubers. They're going to be putting out a lot of content on this tank. They're going to be showing off all their 8,000 damage games. They're going to be showing off their 3 marks of excellence pretty quickly, because this tank is that good. So why do you want this tank? I can guarantee you don't want this tank as a crew trainer. We've debunked that already. I guarantee you don't want this tank as a credit earner, because you're going to be firing a lot of premium shells to have the amazing fun you're going to have in this tank. So why do you want this tank? You want this tank just for the frick of it. You want this tank just to have fun, put a smile on your face, and you're going to own the random battlefield with this tank. I hope you enjoyed this reaction video on this tank. Like I said, I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this tank, and it's bordering on the balanced and overpowered side on the spectrum scale. On the you know what I mean. Is this tank going to be amazing? Yeah, it's going to be top 3 medium tanks besides the Progetto and the T44-100. So hope you enjoyed this video, and please give this video a like if you've made it this far. I know you learned something today, so give me a like. It helps my channel out a lot. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.